That moment where you went up and screamed at Sam. On that same
He even knows
day,
the guy's name, Sam. Man, you really follow that shit, bro.
Oh, it was big.
Oh, it was
big, yeah.
I was
It
fucking out, dude.
On that same day, or I don't know if it was that day or the day before, when you went on top of the Uber car, I want to know if it relates. It's like the same phase you were going through, where you were on top of the Uber car and you called out. I don't know if you want me to say his name, Keemstar, but you called him out and you told him, "I effing love you," this, that, and then like a few minutes later, you like kind of flipped it around and said, "You made me want to kill myself," this, that. Now was
that's good.
A phase that just changed? I don't.
Okay, so
I want to know your thought process.
You know, people have always called me out on this because I preach positivity and love, but then next thing you know, I'll go on a negative tangent and they'll be like, "You're a hypocrite," not understanding that. When I'm on top of that Uber and Keemstar's in that audience with a film crew that he hired to do a 3-part documentary on my July 15th event for his own personal gain because his job is to report the news. But in reality, if my event had gone to shit, he had the full scoop and video to do so. If it had gone well, he had the documentary to do so. He wasn't there for me or July 15th. He had no reason to even be in the crowd that day, and I gave him that leverage. So on top of the Uber car, when I'm staring at him with the camera, I see the man who made me want to kill myself. I see a man who I envisioned going to his house and strangling as soon as he opened the door. I saw myself hurting this guy in severe, severe fashion over the years. But instead of choosing to do so, I chose to say, and I said it with full confidence, "Keem, now that I'm face to face with you for the first time, I want to let you know that I love you," because that was my intention. 5 minutes later in that conversation, he raises his hand during my speech and goes, "Well, if this whole event is about love, why did you release a diss track?" He wasn't listening to what I was saying. He was still trying to find a narrative to make me look like a bad person and try to put me down. And at that point, I said, "Hold up, fuck you and your whole crew." I was like, "You made me want to kill myself. Shut the fuck up before I jump out of this car right now and slap the living hell out of you." Because I'm still that person on the inside. I still have that. I'm making conscious choices and decisions to be the positive person. I'm still human. Just because I understand why bad things happen doesn't mean I don't still feel anger, jealousy, hurt, guilt, but I'm learning how to manage all those feelings. So that 5 minutes, it could have been left at me saying "I love you" if he had just stayed quiet and stayed put and recorded and done whatever you want. But I learned his true intentions of standing there, and I was like, you know what? You shouldn't even be in this crowd right now. You shouldn't be profiting off of my speech or anything that's going on right now. This has nothing to do with you, so why the fuck did you hire a crew to be there? Fuck you and your news channel. So I always say, one day I say I love that guy, the next day I say fuck that guy. Fuck Drama Alert and his whole crew. Tell him Fousey said he can kiss my whole ass. More specifically, you can kiss my asshole. I'm an asshole. You brothers got jokes. Kanye West said that about SNL. I say that about them now. Because at the end of the day, these people don't give a fuck about me.
I don't even know who
they don't care about me.
So they're irrelevant.
That's irrelevant.
Their agendas aren't aligned with mine. Our frequencies aren't aligned. I don't believe in this guy at all. He calls me fake for my pranks. His entire existence is fake. His entire human belief, his entire moral values, his entire lifestyle is fake.
Is he happy?
In the same way he can say that to me. Him hearing that right now, if this goes up, not a single word is going to be heard, but it's going to be used as a profit point to put it on an interview. FouseyTUBE lashes out at me, and then he's going to sit there in his ignorance to try to debunk what I'm saying because he can do no wrong in his own eyes.
Okay.
I told this man that he made me want to kill himself. 2 weeks later, he just tweeted on the internet publicly. He's been tweeting me every single day with a different tweet of harassment. 2 days later, he tweeted to say, "It looks like Fousey's done with his manic phase and moved on to depression." Who the fuck are you to tell me that I just moved out of my manic phase and into depression? When I pray 5 times a day, when I meditate 3 times a day, when I'm loyal to my girlfriend, when I call my mom every single morning to talk to her, when I'm writing self-help books to help better the world. Who the fuck are you to spread that agenda? And as a grown-ass man who spends this time vilifying people on the internet for doing wrong, instead of staring at your damn self in the mirror or taking care of your daughter or making love to your wife as you should, shut the fuck up for 2 seconds and stare at your damn self in the mirror. That's why I did that.
Who's this guy, Fousey? I don't know.
He's
who
a
he is.
nobody. We're not gonna give him
Then
any more
fuck
credit.
him.
It's
Wait,
just
wait,
negative
actually,
people.
that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Continue, because this is what I want to get into, and you're onto it. And I want to see before I get into clinically why what you're saying
He's
is
an
true.
internet troll, maybe.
First of all,
Go ahead. Give the street, and then I'll give you the
personally,
credit.
when I'm trying to do something, like he's trying to do something, and someone comes in with that little jab of poisonous negativity to benefit himself in one way or another, or jealousy, or whatever the fuck you want to call that personality that would do something like that to somebody trying to achieve something, he took it lightly. I would have fucking waxed that motherfucker.
His people on his team have made documentaries about and used my mom in their footage. And said that when I bought my mom and dad a house in New Jersey, my mom and dad were actually acting, and I bought that house for myself. These people aren't real people. And the reason that they think that they're credible and they're so fucking holier than thou is because they have little children that they manipulated into believing their thing. But what they do is to try to convince these little children that I'm wrong, I have yes man, and I'm manipulating them. These people are scumbags, and my entire life's mission statement out of positivity and love will be to shut these people out of my entire existence and consciousness, and outside of every single kid's existence and consciousness.
Okay, now let me answer.
So
I can
Let
go
me
off
help.
hours
We're
about
gonna go
this.
in.
Hours about
But
this.
let me help. Let me help.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna say 3 words. Existence is proof. Whenever you give an idea a name, it moves from the imagined and the unreal into real. That's why we say evil has a name. Once something is personified, it exists, and we have proof of concept for everything. As basic as a patent, when you file, you have proof of concept, all the way back to the 7 wonders of the world or the ancient pyramids. Those pyramids is proof of an idea, of an existence, of spirituality, of science before its time. I'll give you an example. Way in the main pyramid of Giza, in the very center, at some point, light ceases to exist. And you'll see all kinds of writing on the wall, and the people, the royal family, lived in the center. So the question is, how did they live with no light? So the theory was it must have been through mirrors. They put all these mirrors to replicate it a few years ago. And light would travel through all the tunnels with mirrors, but again, at the very end, the center, light would fade, and it'd still be dark. Right at that point, and you can Google this and see for yourself, there's an odd picture at the point where light fades of a light bulb. Mind you, this is thousands of years ago. So archaeologists say, no, this is just a flower. It happens to look like a light bulb that actually has a filament inside of it. But this is proof of concept. So moving from the tangible to people and to ideas, when you want to give something power, you write it down, you verbalize it, and you give it a name. Why, in God's name, for someone so intelligent and you have such a beautiful heart, would you give that kind of power to someone? Call his name. Give him that credibility and put him on your level when it's only going to create a reaction and come back to you. Because, listen to me, you're more powerful than he is. And if you take a boomerang, which you're doing, and you throw it, not him, you're throwing it with your own might, your own force, what is it that eventually comes back to you? It's not him. It's your own hand in your own face by your own doing. You are the slayer of self. Existence is proof, and evil must have a name.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Why does this guy bother you so much?
So, believe it or not, as I'm talking and yelling, my head is already in full regret that I even mentioned his name. I'm self-aware of that. And then I go to resentment looking at you saying, why the fuck did you bring up his name? And my mind becomes evil. And I get angry. Because I know what it'll cause if that goes on the internet. You know? I didn't even sit here with the intent to even bring up his name because I knew I was handling it so well up until that point where I got triggered. So what I ask you and every viewer who like you holds on to those thoughts as to why did you change that 5-minute conversations, say what happened 5 years prior to lead him to do that change in 5 minutes, because it didn't happen out of nowhere. This is a guy who, for my own evil, my own demons, my own troubles, he's rooted at the bottom of it. And I'm working tirelessly to try to eliminate him from my entire existence. When he hit me up prior to my event to text me and say, hey, I'd like to do a documentary on your July 15th event. With all my might, I wanted to say, go suck a dick, fuck you. Instead, I replied and I said, of course, I'd love to have you. I'm so excited. Because I was trying to manage this evil, knowing that it's my biggest evil, but I need to know how to use him in order to help me. He was going to use this documentary to try to destroy me. During the talks me and him had, he slipped up and told me his biggest secret. I know a secret that can end his entire existence and career on YouTube. And because of that, and because he knows that I hold that power over him, is the only reason that documentary wasn't as bad as it could have been. The only reason he's not going as hard as he wants to on me. Because I know a thing about him that can end him.
I'm really glad you brought that up. I was gonna.
But you've been a fan for a while, so you're one of the. You've been following him, so you have these questions. You're like, wait, what happened?
In terms of why do I bring him up? Why do I have that evil? I try to work every day not to. Now that I'm not on social media, I don't know that he's tweeting about me every day until my friends who monitor my social media tweet me a new screenshot of him harassing me. This dude needs me. He begs for my attention. He needs me to reply. He needs my story. He needs my name for titles. He needs my name for views.
Is this all for clicks and shit?
It's all for
for
clicks
money.
and
It's
shit.
his job. This is his job.
He uses the fuck out of every single person on YouTube. The only reason any YouTubers actually act like they like this guy is because they fear being used on his channel in a negative manner. He used to have a friend. His friend cheated on his girlfriend. This gentleman, before even going to his friend saying, why the fuck did you do that, makes a YouTube video exposing his own friend for doing this. His friend got his friend to beat his ass. This same gentleman, 2 kids reached out to him and said, yo, I have proof that Yusuf used I think it was a sex worker at the time. That was the agenda they were trying to do. So he posted a video of the picture they sent to him. I look at that video and I immediately see that's a thumbnail from an old video of mine. These kids photoshopped that picture, put me. You see my legs levitating off of the ground, but before even looking with his own eyes at the picture, used that picture to try to vilify me and make me look. And when I called him out on it in text, he said, I'm so sorry, man. These kids really made me believe that they were telling the truth. Why the fuck didn't you text me first? Why the fuck didn't you ask me? I can say so many things right now that it'll put shame to her and my family and everything about this gentleman. I've already given him enough attention, so I'd like to move on.
Yeah, let's just move on. Let's not talk about it.
Okay, well.
Cool. He's like, I had something.
No,
You can talk about the science of it. I love hearing that.
Yeah,
but I'm done talking about this
Forget
gentleman.
about this
I've
shit,
never
yeah.
even talked about this gentleman, and I don't intend to.
Yeah.
Because that's the point that I'm trying to say. It is everything that is occurring around you may not actually even be happening. You see, there are dichotomies between reality and fantasy. And the line between the two is so temporal. It is so thin that you can actually take one step towards insanity, the fine line, and look on the other side. When you understand that anything and everything, including memories, are essentially a natural function of an artificial desire, then you understand everything is subjective. What does this mean? Who are you? You are a shell. We all are. We're just essentially atoms of adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine, and uracil. And these 5 combinations of your DNA create your cellular structure. But I could be you too. This body is just a shell for one thing: the lightning impulse within your neurology. Inside your brain, right now, actual lightning bolts are happening between your cellular fibers. And those bolts are called neurosynaptic firings. It is one of the greatest tangible evidences that we have that there's a universe inside of our own subconscious mind, and memories lie between these things. So as all of this is happening, you are actually creating your own reality, even though most of it is actually false. And I'll give you one clinical example. Your eyes right now are lying to you. It's complete BS what you're seeing. Let me explain to you. When you were born, and even as it is now, everything that you see, the way your cornea is designed, is actually upside down. The way you are wired, this entire room is not the way it seems. This room, the orientation of it is false. Everything here is upside down. I will do you one better. Not only is everything upside down, in front of your cornea, there are so many little arteries going by that not only is it upside down, imagine taking a hammer and cracking the mirror 1,000 times over. So it's upside down and completely unreadable. You can't even understand what you're seeing. However, your brain doesn't like that. We do not like to be in a state of stress and misunderstanding. So we have to lie to ourselves. This is important. And that's when people say, oh, so-and-so is a liar, or he's lying to himself. I never say that's bad. As a matter of fact, to some degree, it's necessary. Humanity and the soma must survive on the lie, because at some point, if you have to interpret so much data at once, you will break. As long as the lie is temporary, and as long as you understand it's a band-aid and it's false, and you will eventually take it off. This is important. So as you are moving forward, your eye and your brain work in tangent without your consent and start to lie to you. And here's the way we are able to test it. We've designed sunglasses, just like the ones you're wearing, but are medical. We've designed it so it goes on your eyes and it turns the entire world upside down, the way it should be. Okay? You will have trouble walking, because as it's on, you can't see anything, everything's upside down, it causes disorientation, you can't even function. You go to sleep, you wake up, it's the same thing, because you have the glasses on. 2 weeks later, one day, within 2 weeks, you will wake up wearing those glasses, and the world will be right again.
No.
Really? Is this real?
AI?
Yes, this is what I say is science, so it has to be real. So understand what's happening. Your brain says, enough! I can't take this, and if you're not going to do something about it, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to protect us. I'm going to make sense out of all of this.
Well, that's why Eckhart Tolle, in his lowest moment of despair, was sitting in his bedroom, woke up in a cold sweat and everything, and he said he had that spiritual awakening where all he was a being, and he sat on a park bench for X amount of years in his life in full existence, because his life had got to the point where it was like, enough. So his entire existence had to shift itself to be okay with it being as it is, of just being a being on a park bench enjoying everything as it is. So isn't that the same thing?
That's a perfect parallel.
I have 2 questions for you.
Please.
They're big, and I don't know if one of them we should even dive into now, because it could be in its own thing.
I'm in for it.
We
If
could,
you're up for it.
we could continue this
Yeah,
always in the
because
future, too.
You
This is
believe
not a
in
one-shot
science,
deal.
and
Yeah.
I believe in everything you're saying, but my question for you as a person would be, do you believe in God?
I have
You
the
don't-
answer.
I don't want to hear it yet. I just want to ask
Okay.
my second one.
He
You
has a
also
great
said
answer.
we can all be, each other, this and this.
Oh, yes.
And Tupac once said, I'm not saying I will change the world, but I guarantee I will spark the mind that will change the world. If I were to say I see Tupac Amaru Shakur and Jermaine Cole as me, what would your response be scientifically?
I'd say it's completely possible. I'd say this. Let me give you an example in terms of on the atomic level. So let's say, I'll take it into my world. So science. Let's say other scientists will look up to a guy named Albert Einstein, okay? Because of all of his many contributions that he's given to us. Some have been led in the wrong way, but some have been used in a good way. Albert Einstein is dead. Albert Einstein is buried. At this point, Albert Einstein is dust, okay? So what is Albert Einstein now? Did you ever meet Albert Einstein? Did
I
you ever
acted-
meet him?
Fun fact: I acted as him in Picasso with the Lapina Gilles in my high school senior year play.
Oh, so there's a tie there.
There's a tie there.
So
You are Albert Einstein.
Albert Einstein's gone. You've never met him, but you idolize him. But what is him? Him can only be touched. And once the physicality is gone, all you are now is an idea. Okay? So now, let's say I accomplish nothing in my life. I am a complete, by other people's standards and by judge or by metrics, by clicks, by scientific publications, by patents, by whatever people use to say, prove to me that you are good. And there's a whole theory of what good is. But prove to me. When you lack that proof, because you care to have that proof, because you're giving credibility to the minds judging you, then you, let's say, establish yourself as the opposite of success, which in this case is not success, or failure. So if you're a failure, and let's say that's what I have become at the age of 120, and you take me and cremate me, take my dust, mix it into Albert Einstein's dust as one. We are now both ideas. I no longer exist. He doesn't exist. But our atoms are one. So who's to say I'm not him?
That's way over me, dude. I didn't get that shit.
I got it. Yeah,
I didn't get that shit, man. Yeah, that's way over me.
I love it.
That, you know, I said a similar story to Lexy. She might remember when she was growing up that Santa Claus is real. Just because he's not here and dead and gone, that Santa Claus is real. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He's an idea.
Yeah, Santa Claus is real. He's
My response
just
to
an
you on
idea.
that
Every year.
is,
Every year at Christmas.
you said your thing in 3 words. I have 3 words. Everything is one. Everything is one.
I have credibility for
I
that.
like that.
Let me add credence
Jesus,
to
man,
that.
you got clinically proven.
See that? I'm just spewing out 3 random words, and there's credibility.
Well, there
No, but
is.
I wasn't saying 3 random words.
Well, tell me. Then go ahead and tell me why you believe it, and then I'll tell you why science would say you're right.
Or how do you believe it? Not why you believe it. How you believe it.
I feel like if we all understood our own true callings and actually acted on them, because I believe our only calling in life is to find our true purpose. What are we as energies here to do? Because we all have something. Everything, like a puzzle piece, will align itself from the sand to the trees to the water to the humans to our shells to our what we do to our actions to the traffic to the street lights to everything we built. It'll all just like one massive transformer piece become one, because we are all one. We're all sharing energy. We are all energy. We are all, I don't know the scientific terms to be able to say we're atoms, we're this. I don't know that, but I do believe we are all one. So when I'm walking on my purpose, if she was to be walking on hers and she was to be walking on hers, in the same way we all got into this room together today, the whole world will activate itself in that same way and all be one.
Sure.
Very good. So here's how it all started from the very beginning. When there was nothing, in the very beginning, there was something. All that something within nothing was, as we have now interpreted it, is one single dense, and what we would say is infinitely dense atom. Okay? That one atom that exists somewhere, we don't even know where it was, because there has to be relation for something to exist. I exist this many feet from you, but when you're the only thing, where are you in relation to all other things, which is nothing? But then, where are you in relation to yourself? I don't know, I can't answer it, but what I can tell you is all matter that we see here, including you and me and what we are, including all the planets, according to science, all of the scientists, well, most of them, would assert that all things were created from one, not explosion, but an implosion, and that came from what we call the Big Bang, which I'm sure you've heard and they've made a sitcom about. But aside from those weird nerds on that show, the actual concept is a fascinating concept, because this is the part that I don't have, I can only speak to other people who kind of speak like me or talk like me, but you can take this in a language that people can understand. I really believe that you can do a lot of good with this. and I hope you do. But humanity's greatest asset is its imperfection. If it wasn't for imperfection, humanity and all things would not have existed. And let me tell you why. And I wish I could take credit for this because it's not a philosophy, it's a science. It's just a fact, but it's so beautiful. So assume that there's a perfect implosion. So something is so dense, it explodes into itself. Okay? And all things burst out. In theory, when there is nothing else around you and something explodes, all portions must explode equally. So you have one marble, it explodes, and then the 10 marbles in a perfect sphere. But if that happened, then it would just stay that way. Because each marble would have equal gravitational pull to every other marble, and it would just sit there infinitely.
Like it doesn't exist.
Well, it's just there, and then nothing happens.
There's no growth.
There's no growth.
There's no growth.
It's too perfect.
Yeah.
And if there's no growth, there's no time. And growth with function of time becomes evolution. And then we all change. So what does that mean empirically? There has to be an imperfect explosion, which is a mystery.
Mm-hmm.
It can't happen. It is the impossible made possible. So somewhere in this explosion, even though it's the first time, there's a mutation. And it is imperfect. There's a misfire. And instead of, for example, 10 marbles equally spaced, you have 9. And that, my friend, is the start of everything. Because with this imperfection, now you have multiple marbles that are closer to one another than the other marbles, and they say, hey, we have more mass. And they have something called gravity now, or gravitational relevance. And they pull the smaller marbles and they pound each other. And all of a sudden, a star is formed. And then that star hits another star. It implodes. Planets are created. Asteroids are created. Spontaneous generation within atmospheres are created. Dust is created. That dust creates lightning clouds. That lightning clouds within spontaneous generation creates life.
So it's actually perfect.
The imperfection
It's a perfect imperfection.
Yes.
It's
the imperfect perfect.
So all things, my friend, came from one. From that one atom. And then one of our most famed scientists, Newton, would tell you this. In his second law of thermodynamics, which is famous, for one first portion, equal reactions to actions. But more importantly, within that study and breadth of study, he talks about the fact that all sum of the universe is 0. Meaning that no matter what happens, no matter what you do, no matter what came before you, what action came, what matter came, what energy came, because it all came from one, it all eventually goes back to one. You never create or destroy energy. You can never be created or destroyed. Oh, this is so beautiful. Because on top of this, anything you've ever said stays forever. Sound waves are indestructible. Somewhere in space, it's going. Did you know that in white noise on your television screen, the old school kind that, you're not old enough to know, but you're certainly old enough to know.
We know.
In the static that you see, some of the interference that came from the very beginning of our cosmos can be picked up by antenna. From the very beginning, is actually being broadcasted in snowy static. This is real. This isn't some crazy talk. This is something you can look up and understand because we're still picking it up from the very beginning. You cannot die. And eventually, all things may very well go back into one. There you go, my friend.
Can we take a break?
Sure.
I have to go to the restroom.
Okay.
Oh.
So I
We'll
think
pick up
we should
in
just take
15
I
minutes.
think what we should do, because and me having the foresight into seeing how this should be edited, how many videos should we upload and everything, we take a break, we come back, and we just say final thoughts and end it.
Whatever you say.
Yeah, end it, and then if you want to continue, we can shoot again later.
Exactly.
A different
because
day,
there's
next Sunday after
in
that.
this video alone, I have 24 videos with different titles I can upload onto my channel, and each be its own video. So we have so much, and
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you want all the raw, or do you want it?
I want all the raw.
He'll edit
Can we
everything.
send them all the raw?
It's up to you.
I want all the
Sure,
raw.
whatever you want to
Trust
do.
me.
Yeah.
I know as the conversations are happening, my foresight as to what I do,
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
I already know
boom,
exactly how
this,
to
that.
promote it, exactly how to release it.
Yeah.
Trust me. This conversation
Unfortunately,
went
you're a
bad.
genius. Okay, so
I need.
I said that in a
You
good
guys-
bad way.
Yeah,
Well,
We'll
unfortunately, you're a
correlate.
yeah, you
genius.
guys correlate because I'm the wrong guy.
I know. Which one of you guys is in charge
not
of
because
that?
of, can I finish?
Aman or
Yeah,
Not because
send
of the
him this.
technology, because I studied technology. The reason that I'm a wrong guy is, unfortunately, I've disassociated myself from things. And
A lot of things, Dr.
Well,
Allen.
just things. I don't. As I'm growing older, I'm collecting this. Now, someone gives this to me, and I have to keep carrying this with me wherever I go.
What is that, dude?
No.
Panterra.
It's just a symbol
Oh.
of things that you get. Every time I'm moving forward, I keep getting more things, but I don't want to be weighed down by things. And as I said, because I do not believe that it matters, my idea as self is not necessarily important. The energy that I put and the effect that I may have on maybe him or his followers or our own people, the fact that maybe I can do something to solve the one thing, which is mortality. Nothing actually matters. All of these wars, all of this strife, it doesn't matter because we're just cells like a lava lamp. You see, you may be old enough to remember this as a kid. There's this lava lamp that comes up and then
I
it
have a lava
breaks.
lamp in my room.
Yeah, there's
Right
entropy.
now.
That's a fight. There's hate. It melds again and then goes to nothing. But ultimately, that doesn't matter anyway.
It's still
Because
hard to deal with, though, Dr. Allen. This
I'm
this
not-
to me, I'm like, bullshit.
Move forward. Don't think about dealing. Obviously, if I stab you with something
It fucking
because
hurts.
of your neurons,
Yeah.
it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about that. Let's go to a higher level together. We're all very smart and we can do that together. On that higher level, you'll understand that ultimately all the pieces end up in the same box, no matter what you do.
I agree.
And the
I
only
agree,
real
but
problem-
it doesn't give you the tools you need today to deal with the bullshit.
It does actually.
If you're genuine and happy with yourself,
Yeah.
I think that I don't know. I'm at a point where I kind of, if I'm not doing something that makes me happy and stuff
You
like
know
that,
who would
it's
be a
not-
great person for you to talk to this about on a one-on-one interview that you should record? Her. Because, and this is out of love. Ever since I've known her, like I walk into this room right now and I hear her talking to Simmi and she's like, I got 4 hours of sleep last night. I've been so damn busy. I'm doing so much. And I told her, that's not going to get you closer to your dreams and that's not going to get you there faster. Because the more that you're doing to fill that time that you should just be being is you just looking for mindless work because that makes you feel like you're actively doing something that's getting you closer.
That's
You said that
absolutely
before.
true.
Yeah.
You're busy doing nothing.
Nothing.
You're busy doing nothing. And I tell Lexy, your friend, I think Jasmine said it too. Jasmine goes, Lexi's in London and going over there, going to Canada, going this, going that. I'm like, she's still fucking busy doing nothing.
That's what makes me happy.
So-
I like that.
No,
Exactly.
you're just
You
keeping your mind
you
busy.
should break down that because it represents millions of social media people. Like she has aspirations, so she sees her end goal. It just means that the route she's taking, she might be doing 1,000 other things she doesn't need to be to get to where she's trying to go. But millions of people are becoming Instagram famous, YouTube famous, Twitter famous, but they don't even know why.
The purpose is.
They don't even know their purpose, so they're just finding their relevance into these numbers, these brand deals, these whatever, but they don't even know what the fuck they're doing. So they're adding all these things that you're talking about to their arsenal, buying new Ferraris, new houses, bigger, better, more, instead of living that simplistic lifestyle of being like, none of that matters.
How can we
I'll
channel this through and make millions?
I don't want to do that. I don't care.
No, I'm
That's
talking
just
about what.
disgusting.
No,
What would you
No.
do with the money anyway?
No, not what I'm saying.
Why does
I'm gonna buy the.
Money.
I'm
No,
gonna
Dad is
buy
all
the
about
house.
money. Don't let him fool
Yeah, I'm all
you.
about
His
money. I'm
happiness
about-
is money.
I'm
It's
all
gonna
about money.
stay above the
Mine is not money at all.
Mine's not money. Listen, unfortunately, I need money because I have 3 kids and shit, and I gotta serve. and
Everyone needs
if I didn't have money,
obviously.
Alexa wouldn't have been where
Within
she is.
reason.
Right?
Yeah,
But you don't
obviously.
need
Yeah, you need
But
so
no,
much.
that's
what I'm
not
saying- look who's
the
talking.
end goal here.
What about it?
Mr. fucking 10 properties all
Okay.
over America. This, that, retired at 20 years old. This, come on, dude.
No,
I
but
might
it's
need to
not
take
what
a bath.
motivates me.
Huh?
That doesn't
Okay,
motivate
Okay, let's
me.
anyway,
Yeah.
let's take a bathroom break and then we'll
Okay.
come back and
All
start.
right.
Bathroom break and then go.
All right.
Wait, and
Okay.
I'm gonna end it with one question at the end.
Okay.
End.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Let's just keep it running.
Oh.
Don't
Okay.
turn it off.
No, you should stop it now.
Okay,
Take
stop it
that
now.
full
Let's-
take. We
yeah.
need to make sure we
Okay.
got that full
Yeah.
take.
Let's actually.
Okay. So I know that in one of your more recent videos you had mentioned that you're essentially killing one of your characters, essentially the FouseyTUBE character, which was your original creation or dream actually, that you had created, and you're now ending that. But is it possible that you're not ending it? That in effect, it is letting you go. And while you're contemplating that, I'm going to read you this poem that I wrote in honor of that, because it inspired me the thought inspired me, and it reminded me of this poem that I wrote. It's called Chasing the Dream. I gave it a go just a moment ago, as it was almost so within my reach. But it ran in a way as if to sway from near to away with a lesson to teach. As we rolled down the mountain and climbed towards the beach, I shouted my promise, my pact I won't breach. I chased her through an alley, past the trash bins, then came to a T on needles and pins. I looked both ways, then straight out to sea, fearing that she drowned because of me. Then suddenly she jumped out of our old childhood tree, looking tired and breathless while taking a knee. She opened her arms and welcomed me in as she asked for a hug with an upside-down grin. As I wiped off a tear, she said, "Lend me your ear," whispering softly, "You have nothing to fear." She said, "Some things in life are just not meant to be," as she let me down gently with this ultimate plea. "You fought for me with gusto and unparalleled fire, but all partnerships, my love, must eventually expire. You tried and succeeded in not dropping the ball, but in the end it is I who will cause us to fall. You protected me throughout this turbulent stream. Now let me take this one for our team." And then she made love to me in an absence of time, in a position of free verse, unhindered by rhyme. In all my predictions, I managed never to see that at the end of the night, my dream could leave me.
That was beautiful, dude. You're for sure gay.
You're
Well,
so stupid.
I think many people would contradict you,
that was
unfortunately. But yes,
That was incredible.
thanks for
That was
listening.
awesome.
I
dude.
love that
was
you
awesome.
said that it's could leave
Yeah,
you.
maybe it's
That's a
leaving
good
you, yeah.
way to think about it.
Well,
I love that.
Well, it's both. If you're leaving something, it's leaving you too.
Yeah.
And the universe gave me a reason for finally it to push itself away from me, because I was reborn and I even changed my name to Rose. I even told people to take the tube out. Eventually, you can try to change that and run away from it as long as you want until the universe finally said,
It's gone.
it's gone.
Yeah.
Which almost makes me question though, and this is a question I've deliberated for so long of, so my initial mistake on YouTube was I created like 7 different channels for 7 different things, but if all things lived on the same channel, the channel would have like 30 million subscribers by now. But if I were to continue posting this new message and everything, despite how I want to spin it, it's still youtube.com/FouseyTUBE. When you go to the channel, it still says FouseyTUBE.
You can't change that. Right?
So does my new message living on its old home affect it?
Yes, I'll explain why. Are you still a child? You are still the same anatomic structure that you always were, but your cells are expanding and they're evolving. And when you are a child, they say you think like a child, you speak like a child, and that's okay. But as you grow older, you become something else in the same channel. You channel yourself through the same being, but you evolve. Your thoughts evolve. And as you evolve, the truest thing is all your recollections, your insertions, your diaries, the proof of your evolution of that character evolves. Your character can evolve from the prankster villain into eventually the neutral philosopher, into eventually the positive thinker. It is the arc of all stories, it is the arc of life, and it is ultimately the thing that will take all things into full circle and fruition.
Understood, but now, back to the question of it all is, do I have to ditch the channel and start posting on a new channel?
No.
Do I have to change the name?
Accept your your past.
That's
Accept
right.
who
No, that's not
were.
it.
You don't have
I
He's
think
like,
it's
it's not up to
accepting.
him. I'm thinking
That's like me and
if
my
it's going
twerkout
to
channel and my
affect
Lexy
how the
Panterra
public
channel.
look at
That's
it.
my singing channel and my twerkout
No,
channel,
it depends
right?
how
It's
the
same thing. You have,
public
like, your
will
different
fit
But
things.
what if I were to? And I'm not talking about the success of. I'm just talking about, you know, if I were to, is it even necessary or no?
it's not necessary.
At all?
At all, no, because it's still you.
Well,
Your
you're the
character-
master at this, man.
I
No,
get
it's-
it. No, I get
No,
it.
no,
All.
he's not
I get
talking
it.
about-
I get it. I
he's
get
not
it.
talking
I
about
get it.
work.
I get it. I get it. In the
It just
same
clicked.
way, it just clicked. In
Yeah.
the same way that my vessel evolves and changes itself, but it's still operating out of the same vessel. I just have to maneuver and shift how I operate the vessel and turn it into one that isn't defined by pranks,
right,
fake social
right.
experiments,
Now,
yada yada,
beautiful.
but motivational
Look at
speech,
this guy.
inspiration,
Also-
love, happiness,
now-
life.
Now,
That's
also,
beautiful.
all of that is
Yeah.
the catalyst for all of the future. You wouldn't have been there without that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Understand that,
Exactly.
right?
So that's why
So
it matters.
love it,
means
actually.
something.
Love it.
The only thing I
That's what
don't
I'm
love
saying,
and
you
I
have to
do
accept
regret
it
to
and
this
grasp
day
it.
is that I created so many separate channels, because if they all lived under the same umbrella,
They
it would
can't.
tell a
You
much.
can't put
They
them together.
can't.
No, you can't
And that's
do
what
it.
sucks. So even when I moved to Jersey for the year, because I ran away from this channel, because I ran away from what? FouseyTUBE, the name. It had control. My dream had power over me, and my dream had become evil. So I leave LA and everyone I knew, thinking I can run away from FouseyTUBE. I go to New Jersey, start a brand new life, create a brand new channel, call it the Cats Family, get it to 1 million subscribers, and now I'm back on FouseyTUBE. But I did all that just to try to run away from posting on
Sometimes
it.
you can't run away
Finally,
from it, man.
I just posted a
Sometimes you
video
gotta
on it.
face that shit.
I
and
just posted a video on
do
it. And the
That's what
hardest
you're
thing
doing
to
there.
accept was
Yeah.
something driven by ego, which was letting go of the conversation in my head that repeats itself of, imagine how many subscribers you would have had if you hadn't done that. But I'm here explaining over the last hour that subscribers didn't mean shit to my life or my fulfillment or my happiness, so why do I give a shit? Why do I care? It's just, it all makes sense, it's all one, and it all stems from so many different
But
things.
that's how you eat. That's your job.
No.
Not anymore.
You make money from YouTube. You make.
No.
No, you're saying no. You don't make money from YouTube.
What's the word? Pales? It pales in comparison to A, what it used to make, and B, what I'm going to make from other avenues in my life now. I'm not even a YouTuber anymore. I'm posting videos that help let that audience know what my message is and everything. But a YouTuber, and what I'm going through with July 15th being the biggest name on YouTube for the week, would have posted a high quality vlog every single day,
Yeah.
responded to every single hate video made. I would have made fucking thousands. My channels would have been, because here's the thing, every single YouTuber made a video about me. I didn't make a video about them. And if I had, views would have came in. Everybody's video that they made about me did better than any video they had been posting that week. It got millions of views. My videos didn't, because I wasn't even worried about that. I ain't a YouTuber.
Yeah.
My money's gonna come from me being the motivational speaker,
Yeah.
the inspirational teacher, the philosophical
Your purpose.
teacher, my purpose. YouTube ain't shit to me now. I'm not defined by it. I don't care for it. It literally is just an umbrella of mine where a certain audience tunes into my message. Millions of people are going to learn my message through books. Millions of people are going to learn it through audiobooks. Millions are going to learn it through live speeches. Millions are going to hear about it when a father is teaching his kids my philosophy.
Let me intersect. I don't mean to criticize, and he's always told me not to, but I want to give some constructive criticism.
Yes.
I believe Bijan was telling me that the average person who watches Instagram and YouTube, the average age is a teenage age, so between 13 and 19. Would that statistic be roughly accurate?
Early
13 to
20s.
24.
13 to 24.
Yes.
So there are
Those
13-year-olds.
are like
I
the
know a lot
biggest.
of
Right.
older people.
But
Yeah.
let me.
Yeah.
But we're talking about statistical averages.
Yes.
So there's a spike, as I
Yes.
said in the
You
Braille.
can even go high 20s, yes.
Yeah.
So because there are kids and the brain doesn't actually fully develop until you're 25 years old. Up until that time, you're completely changing and evolving. Up until you actually achieve a state where you're no longer expanding and you start to actually the deterioration level outweighs the regeneration level, and that's around 25. That's actually the first year that you can run for United States Congress, which is a whole other story.
25 years old?
By the way, look at how she looked. I'm sorry. As soon as I'm talking about these facts, 1, 2, 3, the eyeballs, and I know you don't buy this stuff, but I just have to tell you, all of these eyeballs are accessing the left side of the brain. When you're accessing the left side of the brain, the three of you are accessing creativity. You're trying to understand what I'm saying on a creative level because it's an abstract concept. But there's one person that's really freaking me out, and it's Simmi. Every single time I'm talking about some scientific concept, she's accessing the right part of her brain.
What does that mean?
Which means everything that I'm saying, she's interpreting on a logical level.
That's
on
good.
A clinical
That's
level,
good.
on a mathematical level, she's interpreting things purely on logical and sequential reasoning.
That's good.
It's really odd. So it just keeps.
So what is that? What is that?
It means her brain's a little wired differently. It's fascinating.
In what
She's-
in what kind of way?
in
Like
the-
compare her brain to my brain, so I understand, because that went over my head entirely.
What it means is that the way she associates to functional logic in the world is as a matter of rationality versus imagination. So when something is a big concept, we all take a deep breath, and many people might look at it and say, okay, let me try to understand and imagine via understanding this concept. This is analogous, it's similar to this, it's similar to this, and we create images that are similar. For example, you tell a kid this thing with furry paws is a dog, and then it sees a cat and says dog, because it's modeling, it's creating this thing, and said this is like this, and I'm calling it the same thing. Then you have to keep correcting it. But as you grow older and you start to understand that there are these differences, a lot of times people start to shift and you start to look at things quantitatively and you look at it in a logical formulation. So when she's looking at the world, instead of creating these comparisons, she's trying to rationalize all the different points to actually make sense of it in a scientific, logical pattern. And it's really weird because I keep looking and all the eyes are like this, and then there's this one eye that is going in its opposite direction. And I'm so sorry when I'm not looking at you and I keep turning over here. It's because this thing is just like always, it's the one thing that is dissimilar. It's just really weird.
I still don't get it,
I think
but
you're
I'm gonna
picking it
try
up, we're
to.
not
I don't need to.
So when a person accesses, so you're saying I'm looking right, so that means I'm accessing my right part of my brain.
No, when you look right, you're actually accessing the left side of the brain.
I'm looking the opposite way.
That's
as
right.
everybody.
Which means you're interpreting information differently. You're actually your mathematical. What it basically means is
You're
your
literally talking
mathematical.
about her eyes looking
Are you
up.
a
Is
genius?
that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, yeah, her eyes are looking in a different corner.
Yeah.
It means that, well, her mathematical skills are going to be very good. It means her logical skills are going to
Tell
be
them
very
about your
good. Her
favorite
quantitative
subject.
reasoning
Science.
skills are going to be very
When we
good.
walked
And
outside
that's
right
just how
now,
she's wired.
when we walked outside right now, she was talking about that. How? What did you? I don't want to speak for you.
Well, he said something. He said when everybody, he's like, there was something that you said that nobody else said, and it was when you were talking about imperfection, and I was like, leads to growth.
That's right. You
And
see?
I was the one who said it, and he brought that up outside, and he was like, yeah, that was.
Because I
you
didn't even
brought that up.
understand that.
That's
And
sequential reasoning. One thing is leading to another thing. It's not similar to something. It is sequential in parts. It is one link then leads to another link, and it is a logical progression. It's amazing. Sorry, it's very rare. That type of thinking is a rare
Yeah.
type of thinking.
Yay! I got a gold mine here.
So yeah, that's
I knew that
fascinating.
regardless of knowing that she was a genius or not.
But that's beautiful. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Is the left
go
side
ahead.
of the brain is
Imagination,
artistic,
artistic,
and the right
creative,
side is
logical
logic.
pattern.
So
Yeah,
if you look left,
you're accessing the
accessing
right
the
part
right.
of the brain.
but most of the time I catch myself looking right when I think about
You
something
catch yourself?
alone. Yeah, like I'm like, what is that? And I look over here.
Yeah, what are you watching usually when that's
No-
happening?
nothing.
I see. Yeah, that could just be an aneurysm or a stroke. So we
Yeah.
have to take.
But what about
Closer
when
look.
wait,
Just kidding.
See, I don't want to get into this because me and you, we think that
Yeah.
so I
We
don't
had
wanna,
this riff back and
It's
forth.
so
there.
funny.
the reason I don't want to get into this is because then I'll start asking questions like, wait, he's sitting on my right side. When I sit to my right,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
Yeah.
Oh, actually, those we can talk about this.
But is that
yeah.
is that
When
are
he
you?
sits
no.
on
Well,
your
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
But-
that's
but-
all I want to hear. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
definitely because
It wasn't an
opposed to-
accident. It wasn't a.
No, there are. See, it's a
There
beautiful-
are no accidents.
There are no. Well, yeah,
There are
actually,
no
there are no
accidents.
accidents, but not for the reasons that you guys believe.
I know.
Punch you. It's
Man,
not-
look at the
it's
reason
not-
is there are no accidents.
because
Done.
of things we do not understand, we create these umbrella terms. Okay, and that's how religion was created. I'm sorry, from a
I
scientific
agree. I
perspective.
agree.
Because we don't, because it's so complicated, we have to give this beautiful term. It's like above us. but there are reasons. It can be called the same thing, but not for the reason you believe.
But I don't care what the reason is.
All right.
I know what the goal is, and the goal is destiny. It's not. It's meant to be.
Well,
Period. So you're saying it's meant to be because of these scientific reasons.
Sure.
I'm saying I don't give a shit why.
Fair enough.
We both reach our goal.
As long
Fair
as
enough.
as long as we all
Yeah, we all reach our goal, whether we're here by chance, by choice, by destiny, by luck, by what. Who gives a fuck? We're all here. That's it.
I used to give one, but I guess
No, I don't. No, you
I've
gave that
seen the
long time
error.
ago.
I've
Long
seen the
time
error
Yeah,
of my
it's a
way.
giant error to try to
As
Yeah.
Lauren Hill said,
not
nothing
only
even
see the way,
matters
but to
at
try to
all.
convince someone else why
You know,
it
it's
is.
just-
start saying other
It's
people's
impossible. It's
error.
physically.
You're
Nothing
there's
matters.
no,
As
this
long
can
as
go.
you're
You guys
not-
literally could be 99 arguing about
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, which is why him and I are doing this talk show. Because we have entirely different beliefs,
Yeah.
but we kind of end up kind of at the same product. We just
Yeah.
take
For
different
different-
ways.
I
That's
love
right.
how we're
Yeah,
all.
he'll take the
really
freeway. I'll take the mountains.
I like that. Yeah, that's well said.
Right. All right.
So
Let's
you,
go.
you were giving me constructive criticism.
Oh,
and it
oh
turned
yeah.
into-
Sorry. Thank you.
Or melon.
Because there's so many kids watching,
Yeah.
and I honestly believe, and again, I'm not saying this to you, but I will say this to Bijan. So he's a young up and coming YouTuber. He's underage. He wants to do great things. He's amazing when it comes to soccer statistics and all of this stuff. And maybe he wants to go into broadcast journalism. We have expressions, and one really famous one is, for example, the suit makes the man. Okay, or your actions define who you are. Your words define your persona. When you hear the words of John F. Kennedy talking about strife and struggle and why we choose to do the hard thing, simply because it moves humanity forward, it makes me want to do those things. But he doesn't end it with "fuck, bro," because at that point in time, it's as if you just took an entire bucket of ice and you put out that fire. And it will teach the kids to bypass emotion, because as we take these expletives, and there aren't that many, if there were more and they were more descriptive, I said that's okay. But to have one word means so many things, means the thing that you are saying is not significant, because you're not even giving your own words the desire and the justice to put true emotion and feeling and identify them with purpose and name. The same name you give to evil is the name that your good deserves and is crying out to you to give it. Fight to give it that thing, because then people will follow that example and they will speak with pride. And even if you don't live long enough to put it together yourself, someone like him who has been following you will learn to do it. And he will say in the words and in the spirit of this gentleman, I now have this idea and this philosophy. And in that part where you are watching from the Noumena, you will wish for him to say it in this way, in your honor. That's just my opinion. I'm a crazy guy, so I don't know what it's worth. But just from one man
understand
to
it?
another
I
man.
fully, yeah.
Okay, man. Let's say so. So let's wrap it up.
Sure.
It was an amazing third episode so far.
Thank you so much for
All right, thanks
giving
for
me
coming,
the honor.
guys.
Two beautiful ladies, amazing gentlemen, up and coming, that is very inspiring. And the things that he says, I do know that are out there for many of the viewers, but that's not because they're false. It's because he's talking about ideas and objectives that are appealing to him. It's just that he has yet to come up with the mechanics of why those things are appealing to him. But the things are not false. They are there. The object is there. The road has not yet been written. It has not been built. And I hope to be the venue, at least in my own small,
we'll all
humble
do it,
portion,
yeah.
to at least be able to make that road. Because
Show
I
you the
like,
work.
no, I like that destiny, and exactly. I like to help create that
One
road.
thing I wanted to end this by is, because I've been vocally saying my manifestations to everybody that I've met recently. I've told maybe 100 people in the last week the name of my book, the title, and what its purpose is. To random people in the coffee line and the thing, because I'm manifesting it and I'm giving it that. And why I want to say this is because I'm going to say this in a world of imagination, but I guarantee you, you would be able to take what I'm about to say and turn it to science. I have vocalized and said, because I see it in my consciousness, and people keep asking me, why are you name dropping to give yourself and what you're saying relevance? And my response was, I'm not name dropping for that. I'm speaking the names of the people who I am attracting into my life that I want to be friends with, because I am going to be friends with them. Because I do see myself in discussions like this with DJ Khaled and P. Diddy. I do see myself recording songs with Jermaine Cole. I do see myself in creative meetings with Kanye West. I see that for myself. The universe is conspiring to give me that on just sheer, from my understanding, the imagination and consciousness that I see for myself. So I'm able to say, I guarantee you, whatever you'd like to bet, whether it's even our lives on the line, I will have a picture with Drake that he posts. Not that I post, that he posts in honor of me on his Instagram. And I can say that matter-of-factly. Now,
may I interject?
Please.
That is, and I hope that happens. But at the same time, I don't care if that happens. What I care about, what I would personally care about, is what comes from that.
No. I'm not going. No. You're taking it to a level I said it on a basic level because I don't want to take it there.
I see.
I get that.
You're
I
saying
know
it will happen.
each of those reasonings. I don't want a picture with Drake so I can be like, "Hey, girl, did you see me with Drake?" No. I'm leading a revolution for the young kids and the voices that are going to listen to me.
That's
These
good.
influential figures who speak to the voices are going to help get my message out.
Good for
P.
you.
Diddy is going to help me do stadium tours where I can give speeches, and he's going to say, when he posts my motivational speeches as videos, "Rumble, young man, rumble." Because then everybody who follows him is going to see my words and listen to my message.
That's beautiful.
None of it is for... I'm not going there. What I'm saying is, on a scientific level, if you could, in a few sentences or less, tell people
I will.
why me consciously seeing that for myself is going to attract it into my universe, despite
I'll
the
tell you.
reasons of why I want it.
I got it. So what you're saying is, and I'll put it in a way that is not necessarily self-serving, which is obviously not the case since you just explained it to me. What you're saying is, you see the table of contents, and somewhere in that table of contents you see that photograph with you, but behind that table of contents, behind that photo, there's a page number. And when you go to that page number, that photograph is representative of a very powerful and moving message.
Absolutely.
Chills.
Absolutely.
It's a whole chapter.
That's what it was
Yeah.
about.
That's what it is. And why is that happening? I can answer that too. I wish that, again, this was philosophy, but the other part, and I can take credit for that, but I cannot take credit for what I'm about to say. This is the dearly departed Stephen Hawking. What a genius this guy was. With this limited mobility, his brain was more active than if I was to have all the Olympic medals. I still wouldn't be as active as that guy's neurons or the way that they were firing. And it's such a
You know what Stephen Hawking is like?
it's such a loss.
I definitely heard his name.
But one of the
Sat in a
greatest
wheelchair.
physicists and astrophysicists and quantum realizationists of our time. He, or as he would say, he's the geek who sat in the wheelchair. But more than that, one of the things that he understood, which is beautiful, is the way that we interpret time. You see, the problem is, and now I'm going to add some philosophy because again, it's not mine, but it is. If you start to look at
I think
Socrates,
just get there, because
I'm sorry.
you're running to explain why you're getting to. We get it. We're there.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
right.
So if you are limited by the things that you have in your own faculties, the same way that a dog cannot see a couple of colors and we can see those colors, makes us see the world differently than him because we are a different and perhaps higher being. However, imagine that there was again a higher being than you. And this goes back to the concept of this God thing, and I'll just say this. I don't know why human beings are so stubborn and egotistical to think that the God Prime, is the one that created you. Because we create mules. I bet you the mule thinks God created it. No, we put a horse together with a donkey. We created it. So I don't know why we believe that the initial God Prime is the epicenter for our existence. It can be multiple chains down a huge link that we don't understand. What does that mean?
Well, you're going into the God.
No.
thing
I know, but
you're going.
No, let me finish.
I went into because I believe in God and I don't want to go into that discussion
No.
right now.
Okay, forget that.
You ruined the whole. I apologize. No. Sorry. it ruined the energy that I felt into ending it on such a positive note. I don't want to go there, so I think we should just end it there because it'll leave it as a cliffhanger. As oh shit, it got ugly and bad. Let's just save it.
Yeah,
Stephen Hawking.
Let's just,
time.
no, it's fine. Let's just save it.
All right.
Let's just save it.
Yeah.
Literally, let's just save it.
All right.
Respectfully.
Oh no, that's fine.
Yeah.
And I was gonna move past that.
No, but let's just save it. Let's just save it.
So
Yeah.
now what do we?
Nothing.
We all say bye.
Yeah, we all say
cheers.
bye.
I wanted to promote. Wait, I wanted to promote Lexi's new album.
Oh, single?
Yeah, new single. It
Thanks.
is. What's it called?
Is it on your gym playlist?
It better be on your gym playlist. It's called Peace Sign.
Peace sign, and I know that there's like a profanity finger in there.
Yes, I'm giving you the peace
Yeah.
sign. Turn it around,
Yes,
one
yep.
finger down. That's what I.
But
do
there's like
now.
a clean version.
No, that is the only original
You
version.
can't
Yeah,
do like
that
the
is the
index.
clean version. The other one says bend over.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go
I
fuck
see.
yourself.
Which is actually a city in Oregon. That's how the story.
Bend over is a city in Oregon.
Yeah. But I want to
What's it
ask
called?
you.
Peace sign.
Peace sign.
Peace on.
That's good.
Oh.
And we're gonna-
Available on iTunes,
Oh.
Spotify, music videos
Under your
coming,
name,
guys.
Lexy
New
Panterra.
single coming
It's
out
about
real soon.
shallows.
Yeah.
It's
All
about
right, well, I
shallows.
wish you-
Plus,
It's not shallow. It's
fucking-
about the shitheads that like to fuck you over 24/7. The ones that you date, like my father.
Ah.
And I just, I write about.
Oh. So that's what moves you.
Yeah,
That's what
love,
inspires you.
relationships, love, all that.
Is that
yeah.
that's where
Getting
the
ugly.
military
All
comes
the-
from?
Yeah.
That's
I'm
exciting.
excited.
No,
to hear it.
yeah, definitely. That's what it's about.
And Simmi, what are you working on?
So many things.
Tell me one. Tell me two of your biggest things. If
Well,
that's okay with you.
Yeah, but
Fuzi, I
it's
know
supposed to
you're-
be. We're supposed to be saying goodbye, dude.
No,
No,
but
no,
I
of
want to
course
hear what
it's
you
Yeah, we
okay
can
with
do
me.
that.
Yeah.
I'm working on a series right now. That has to do with. So I have a martial arts background.
Whoa.
So that would be. It basically ties around that and.
She's
another
so humble.
human.
She has 2 black belts.
Damn, girl, you kick my ass.
I bought a black belt.
Yeah,
I'm
Mine is
wearing
a
it,
box.
right?
That's
It,
so cool.
it does. It matches the red shoes, actually.
Yeah,
Ah.
black and red.
Yeah.
My two favorite
And-
colors.
And then I'm also.
Is it a movie series? Hold on, you didn't go into
No,
detail.
it's gonna be a series. Either it's gonna be on my channel or it's gonna be sold to YouTube Red. Or you
Can
know
you
what?
tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's I'm actually some of it is on my channel already, and it's about my alter ego or my twin sister, is what I call
Love
her.
that.
So instead of Simmi, she's Emis. She's me backwards.
Oh,
So I have this persona on YouTube. I only do comedy sketches.
okay.
So my and action comedy as well. So my thing is like, anytime I'm playing my character, I'm always Simmi is always a clumsy one who, doesn't get the guys or whatever it is, and like, is whatever. She's like the fun, sarcastic, clumsy chick.
Sure.
And then Emis is complete opposite. She's a badass. So she's everything that Simmi would want to be. And
Oh.
so Emis is the person who comes and protects her, and then she has this whole background. We don't know. It's open-ended right now.
It sounds like a multiple personality war.
100%.
That's
and,
beautiful.
And it's
Sounds like
just
me.
me.
Do you
Yeah.
change your look when you go from character?
I just, leather jacket or whatever. Normally.
Through her acting, you would think it's 2 different people.
Seriously,
Dude,
that's
that's
awesome.
wow.
She's harnessed the MS character like profoundly, and it's
Yeah.
getting better and
That's
better.
dope.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then I
Yes.
just introduced him as one of the characters in the thing, and then as we threw him in there, like as I was editing, I realized I was like, this is a series with this guy, like and that's how we're gonna do it. So
Very
that's what
destiny,
we're working
man.
on. Yeah, dope.
Yeah. All right.
And the other thing you were working on, you said there's 2.
A lot of things, but another one is a movie script.
Oh.
It's another completely different character. It has to do with a psychotic character almost, and I think that a lot of these characters that I portrayed, they live within us, and I think that how you bring them out is acting. How you bring them out is creativity.
Manifest
and stuff
destiny.
like that.
That's beautiful. Where do we see all this? Is it going to be on a YouTube channel?
You'll
or-
see her on all theater screens around the world very soon. I
Soon.
promise you that.
And you will not get a free ticket. Okay, guys. So.
All right, and wait, and last but not least, Fuzi,
Yeah.
I know
What do
you
you
have
have
some
to
kind of
leave
a
us with?
concert coming up. When and where and what is it?
Oh,
Talk about
this time around, I'm not gonna say much other than I'll see you all on
Yeah.
September 15th because you will all
No
hear
bomb
about
threats there.
That's great. That's hours before my 40th birthday.
it. Wow.
That's insane.
Wow.
When's your
Happy
40th
birthday.
birthday?
Oh, thank you.
September
September
16th?
17th. Yeah.
Oh.
Something
That's crazy.
something I'll accompany that with is that after July 15th, my first ever try at an idea that I got 7 days before actually executing it, where I had 60,000 people watching live before it began, where I had Live Nation and Ticketmaster partnering with me on the concert, where I had the Greek Theater allowing me to host my concert where I had 5,800 tickets sold out within an hour because I gave them out for free, where I had artists from New York, LA, Bay Area, wherever you want to come from, come perform, where I had them all backstage, where I met Drake the day before. My event got stopped on my first ever time with a bomb threat.
Whoa.
What I'm saying is people tried to define what it was and saying it was a failure, a flop, the end of my career, not understanding. That wasn't even the back of my book. That wasn't even the beginning of my story. July 15th is now tattooed on my finger forever because it was the day that I, as the rose that rose from the concrete, decided to not stay down, not give up, not be defined by my mental disorders given to me by a doctor who learned science, by me taking back control of my life and me saying, this is my story and I'm here to tell it. July 15th was my day that I was reborn, and September 15th is day one of my new life that the world will see, because it already started for me way back when.
Yeah.
I'm living on such a super natural flow. I don't even want to waste time to tell non-believers. But some people have to see it in order to believe it, in the same way he had to see him graduate. When everybody sees what I pull off on September 15th, they will A, either become believers, or B, find a reason to try to disprove what they cannot disprove because I did exactly what they said I cannot.
If that,
I love that.
Yeah, if that were to happen, you were to be on stage doing that. I don't know how much negative energy there is or not, but I would write something. I would give you I would say, here, if anything happens, credibility. I'd stand there with you. I would take that blame.
I sneezed on that.
Saberman.
I have unseen footage that I haven't released yet, right? Because I have manifestations where this is gonna live. Where I'm in Australia 7 days before the 15th, and I'm yelling out loud in the studio, I'm going to be here, I'm going to have this person, and this is going to happen. I had no idea how. I just said that as if a kid would sit there at 13 and say, I'm going to be in the NBA.
No, that's because it's already happened.
On September 15th,
yeah,
they will see, because I'll show that footage before the event begins, that exactly what I put out into the universe on that day is the exact reality I spoke myself into.
Because it's already happened.
It's already happened.
The reason is, this picture's already done.
Done.
But because our eyes are deficient, we can't understand that it's done. So we have to flip the pages. And this is how we understand photographs. And when the pages are flipping, that becomes time.
Mm-hmm.
This is time. It is a function of understanding a static photo. And that's all time is. So the thing that you're calling destiny or what's meant to be, it's not.
Same thing, man.
It is just a static thing that
exactly
you've already
the same
understood.
thing. Right.
He's just happened to see a little bit further out and had seen the photograph. But that's what it is. And that is what Stephen Hawking is so funny. That's what he was trying to say.
It's as if I want to end it with my thought that just got inspired by you saying that. It's as if there was a new Justice League coming out, right? And a little kid walked into the back room and saw the ending and saw what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Now
That's
he
pretty
could
cool.
go home and say, Mom, Dad, I know how it ends.
Yeah.
Son, your imagination is wild.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Mom, Dad, son, go upstairs. We don't want to hear it. The kid already saw it. He knows what's going to happen.
That's
so
good.
in 2 months when the movie comes out and the parents watch it, they're like, our son told us that. He already saw it in his consciousness.
I was afraid you were going to take it to an area that would disgrace Stephen Hawking. But you actually just did him justice. So I'm actually going to give my very first ever high five.
Oh.
High five.
Yeah, that was a high four, dude.
That's awesome to know.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
man.
awesome.
So anyway,
That's
let's
awesome.
wrap it up, man. We all gotta
Sure.
get out of here.
It's
All
wrap.
Thank you so much
All
for
right,
coming.
see you guys later.
We look
Bye, guys.
forward to seeing you again on a higher level.
Yeah.